Good day, folks. Welcome back to my neck of the woods. My name's Dika, where I share my experience and my knowledge, hoping to lessen your learning curve along the way. So today, we have Scentlok clothing. I'm going to talk about Scentlok clothing. I'm going to explain Scentlok clothing, and I'm going to try to answer some and debunk some sort of questions that people have about Scentlok clothing. I'm not an expert. I know that I have used Scentlok clothing, and I started using it because of John Eberhart. I listened to, I'm a fan of his as a deer hunter, and he is a huge advocate for Scentlok clothing. He was probably the godfather of Scentlok clothing, and to the extent that he uses it, I am trying to mirror the way he uses Scentlok clothing, and I'm having great success. Before I get started, please subscribe to my page, like my videos, and make some comments. You know that I love the comments. So, Scentlok clothing. If you clicked on this video and you do not know what Scentlok clothing is, I'm going to give you just a quick recap. It is a hunting clothing line that has activated carbon inside the clothing, and the company originated in 1992. So this is not a new company, but its claim to fame is this chemical or this compound called activated carbon that is inside the clothing, and what it does is it absorbs odors. All right, now there are a couple things inside the clothing, right? So there's, in some aspects, there's silver, which is notorious for being used in the medical field for killing bacteria and microbes and stopping new growth of bacteria. And then there is activated carbon. From what I understand, there's two lines. There is the Scentlok, which has activated carbon in it, and then there is another sort of line that I believe came out in like 2013 or 2012. Don't quote me on this. That's called carbon alloy, and that has the activated carbon, and then it has treated activated carbon in it, which the Scentlok company has been able to, with the treated activated carbon, able to specifically absorb certain odors. And then there's something called zeolite that's in it. And the way I understand zeolite is it's another absorbent, but it really works in conjunction with the treated activated carbon and the activated carbon. So by itself, it's not really effective. I mean, it is effective, but it works in conjunction with the other carbon, the activated carbon. So I'm going to touch on activated carbon for a little bit, and then I'm going to tell you my experiences with Scentlok and why I think it's worth trying. You can try it, okay? I live and die by it now, and every year I buy a new piece of Scentlok clothing because it is pricey. And beyond the activated carbon, let's talk about the clothing itself. Beyond the activated carbon, it is quality clothing. I had an early season suit that I actually just sold to a friend of mine, and I wanted to upgrade it to get it a little bit better. And that suit was, I must say, it was 8 years old, and there's not a problem with it. No problems whatsoever. It's not ripped. The clothing is in pristine condition. But the quality of the clothing and the warmth of the clothing, when you're starting to get into the mid-season and the late season stuff, the warmth of the clothing is, in my opinion, surpasses anything. Like the Fortress jacket, which I have, is probably the warmest jacket on the planet. I mean, granted, I haven't tried every jacket on the planet, but I mean, I have hunted in 20-degree weather with just a t-shirt underneath, and I was toasty. I wasn't even like I was cold and the jacket was just keeping me warm. I was toasty underneath. I've been in torrential downpours with the Fortress jacket on. It's been close to freezing out when it's been rain. Granted, it got super heavy and I was soaked, but it was toasty warm inside. Now the Fortress, they only have bibs, and I don't like bibs, so then I use the Voyeur pants, and then I use layers underneath. So for my late season stuff, and I have a Voyeur jacket that I use for mid-season, and then I have some other clothing that I use for early season. So to get back to the activated carbon, what it is is it's an absorbent, and it has been used outside of Scentlok clothing for a long, long time. Air filters use it in buildings that want to absorb odors. NASA uses it. Hospitals use it. Anything that they want to absorb odors. So, and Scentlok, I don't know if you know this, and this is regurgitated information. This is not information that I researched myself. I did research it after I heard it, and I heard it from John Eberhard. He's sort of, like I said, he's like the godfather of Scentlok. And I guess Scentlok got sued a while back, and one of the findings was that it proved that Scentlok absorbs 99% of the odors that it comes in contact with. Not even just human odors that it comes in contact with. So that's and that was proved by the U.S. government, the U.S. court system that proved that. So it wasn't just like some Joe Schmo that said, oh yeah, this, that, or even some scientist somewhere. This is, I would think that the United States government is a reputable source for information. So there's another section of it, of the activated carbon, and I believe it's only in the base layers. I'm not sure as to if it's in the like the outer clothing. Excuse me, I'm just dry today, so I think it's just in the base layers when they talk about carbon alloy. And the carbon alloy, like the Trek, the BE1, the Bowhunter Elite 1 series, which I am 100% a fan of. They kind of bulk it up here, and then it's less material on the arms, so you'll be able to shoot your bow. But anyway, that's a whole other ball of wax. I could talk about that for ages. So the carbon alloy, like the Trek series, that has merino wool in it. It's infused with silver, which is antimicrobial, and it kills off bacteria. And then it has something called Fusix. I'm not really sure what Fusix is, like the breakdown, the molecular breakdown of it, but it is also an antibacteria. So I know it's in the socks, and the silver is in the socks. And what it does, now this is all science. I'm a science guy. I don't know if you know this. I'm a nurse by trade, and I love science, and all like silver and activated carbon is used in the medical field all the time. So like if anyone has ever gone into, well, hopefully you haven't, but if you go in and you're an OD, if you OD on whatever it is, if you drank too much alcohol, or if you OD'd on opiates, or if you OD'd on painkillers, or what is something that you would eat, right? Something that went in through your digestive system. They give you a charcoal drink, and that absorbs everything in your system. And essentially what it is, it's activated carbon. They use activated carbon in the filtration systems to get rid of odors and different smells that come out of us when we're in trouble, so to speak. So anyway, back to that. So in the carbon alloy, the Trek series, that's the one I like. That's the BE1. They have Fusix, they have silver, and they have the Fusix and the silver in the socks too. So essentially, even if you do sweat into this clothing, right, it's not going to smell because it has all these things infused to it that just destroy bacteria. So like if, I'm sure many of us have had boots. We have boots, right? And that you sweat in them and they start to stink, right? So what do we do to get rid of the stink? I don't know if everyone does this, but you put them on the boot dryer. And once it dries it out, that heat, everything, it destroys the bacteria. It will never get to that point because of the activated carbon, the treated activated carbon, the zeolite, the silver, and the Fusix that's in this clothing. It never even gets to that. And it's just amazing, amazing stuff. So some of this, like I said, some of this information is regurgitated from John Eberhard. He did the research. He put the time in, and then I heard it from him, and then I looked it up just to see if it was valid, and it was. So my experience with activated carbon with Scentlok clothing is I don't follow the wind anymore because I've added enough Scentlok clothing to my repertoire that I don't need to watch the wind anymore, which is amazing. And I don't know if it beats a whitetail's nose altogether, but you can certainly get close to deer, and they just do not know that you are there. As long as you don't move, you know, I mean, that's hunting 101 anyway, but outside of just normal hunting as what we normally do, But John Eberhart, he doesn't follow the wind either. He just pays zero attention to the wind because of the Scentlok clothing. That's amazing. So I do the same thing. So here's the kicker. If you buy a jacket or a suit, say you got pants and a jacket, right, and you wear a hat, if you don't follow the system, I'm going to say the system that John Eberhart has created. I only say he's created because he's really the only one on YouTube or on social media that's out there preaching this sort of Scentlok system. He's the only one that I know that's doing it, besides me, I guess. So he has created this sort of system and how you care for the clothing. And like the care for the clothing, if you go on the website, right, and it tells you how to care for the clothing, it is highly specific as to how you care for the clothing, as opposed to just washing it in warm water or you wash it in the Scentlok, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. It's an entire list of directions on how to care for a jacket. You know, they say if it's not muddy, it's not bloody, you don't wash it. You keep it in an airtight container at all times if you're not wearing it. They say 40 to 50 hours of use, you can reactivate the active carbon, get rid of all the absorbents that are in it by putting it in your regular dryer. Right? But then they say, make sure you put in your washer, you take a couple towels and you wash them in the Scentlok laundry detergent, and then you put them in your dryer and dry them, and they recommend that you spray the inside of your dryer to get rid of any microbes in there before you even dry the Scentlok clothing that you don't wash. It's crazy, but it's very specific, and I believe that it works. So anyway, I have found, like, I hunt the ground, and I hunt in a blind. I don't hunt in tree stands anymore. I think it's just because I'm getting older, and I've fallen out of a bunch of them. But anyway, I just find that I don't need the wind anymore. First, when I started out, I would like wear the pants and then still follow the wind and see which wind direction, whatever. I don't even look anymore. And I'm finding that the confidence with the clothing is amazing. Like I shot a good sized buck last year at 8 yards. You know, and the wind was, to be honest, I don't even know what the wind was. Maybe it was in my favor, maybe it wasn't. And I'll give you a short example. I walked into that blind just at first light. I got in my blind, I got set up, and I looked up, and there were two doe right there. Two doe. I think I walked past them. That's how good the clothing is. I mean, I think I walked past two deer. Maybe they saw me. I try to be quiet when I'm going, but there's no way that they could have been right there before I got in. I mean, maybe they could have. I don't know, but I mean, they were there minutes after I had crossed that exact same path, which is, I don't know how I wouldn't have seen them. But anyway, but they were nearby. They weren't far away, whether the wind was with me or whatnot. And then a buck came in. I shot it at 8 yards. 8 yards. A good-sized buck. It wasn't a mature buck. It was probably 3 or 4 years old, but even so, that's something has to be said about the clothing, you know? So I've gone over as much as I possibly can with it, and I hope that you get it. And I encourage all of you to go and look at John Eberhart and look at his method as to how he does it. If you don't follow his method to the T, you're probably not going to get his results. If you just wear a hat and a jacket and you have your face exposed, I think you're going to reduce it, but you really have to cover everything up. You have to have a face mask. You have to have some sort of hat and everything. And what you do is you tuck it into your jacket. Now, these are his words that I'm regurgitating. This is not my system. I have just replicated what he has done, and I have been getting, now granted, I don't shoot gigantic deer like he does over and over. I hope to. Maybe I will. But I have gotten great results by just not following the wind. I don't even look at it anymore. Last 2 years, I haven't even looked at it. There has to be something to be said about that. But that's all I have for you. Check out Scentlok. I encourage you to at least try it. At least try it. It's a game changer. It really is. And subscribe to the channel. I'll talk to you guys later. Be well.